What's good, fam? This your boy Z. We're here, and this is going to be a video for the Los Angeles Clippers. For all the Clipper fans out there, shouts out to my Clippers fan on the Facebook fan page that I'm a part of. I'm going to make this video, and then I'm going to state my opinion, and I'm going to tell you why I think this is a bad idea as far as trying to trade for some of these players. I mean, for Westbrook, I understand, because he gives us an MVP we never had on our team. He has been to the finals before, and he's, let's be honest, like Russell Westbrook is far more athletic than Chris Paul is. Just from an overall game, yes, like the only thing Chris Paul has over Westbrook is three-point shooting, because Russell Westbrook doesn't always have the accurate three-point shot. But as far as getting to the rim, right, assist, fast-paced, up-tempo, hey, Westbrook's your guy. But let me explain why this is. I don't think the Clippers need to be focused on trading right now. Because, for one, you're going to have to give up too much debt. And then on top of that, you got to look at our salary cap. I mean, for Westbrook, I mean, yeah, it makes sense to pair him up with Paul George. But let me make a case for CP3, because I'm tired of hearing this. Let me just say this now. I do not want Chris Paul back on the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't. And see, people forgot what happened in the last, like, 3 seasons. I think just about, like, 3 seasons ago, okay, we all saw what happened down in 2018. Okay? Chris Paul said he didn't want to play there no more. All right, he started talking, him and Doc Rivers started having beef. I mean, yeah, he criticized Doc for signing some, but there was other issues going on. Now, we could all agree that what happened to the bubble, Doc Rivers had to go. I know some people didn't want to see Doc Rivers go, but he had to go. Okay, his coaching just has been a problem for the last 5 seasons. Okay, this is the second time he's choked on this Clipper team where he choked away 3 on lead. So he had to go, right? We all can agree with that, right? And that's the only thing Chris Paul said correct about the Clippers as far as Doc Rivers. Even Glenn Davis, right? Big Baby even said the same thing. Doc's coach is overrated. So we can all agree on that, right? But remember, before we traded Chris Paul, Steve Ballmer was willing to give Chris Paul $200 million to stay on this team. He was going to give Chris Paul, Steph Curry, and Russell Wilson type money. One of the highest paid contracts, like way more than what he's getting paid now with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He was going to make $200 million to re-sign with the Clippers and weather the storm. CP3 didn't want to do that. He made it very clear he didn't want to stay in LA no more. He wanted to be playing for the red, black, and blue. Okay, he wanted to leave. So he decided to do a sign and trade, and then we exchanged with the Rockets, and we got back in exchange for Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, like 2 players and those 3 first-round draft picks. And those draft picks later on helped us got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But again, Chris Paul did not want to stay there. And to add salt to the wound, not long by the time he got there, like after the man's press conference, I think he did a sit-down. He did an interview with Jay-Z. It's one of those video clips. It wasn't necessarily a podcast, but it was a sit-down. It was one of those TV interviews, those special interviews, where he's confining Jay-Z. And he talked about the Clippers not having no culture. The man talked down about the organization, which to me is a low blow to Steve Ballmer, because Steve Ballmer has been more than happy about owning the team. To me, Ballmer has went out his way to show Los Angeles fans how grateful he is to be the owner. He has paid these players well. So for him to do that to Steve Ballmer, that kind of wasn't right. No, that wasn't right to Jerry West, because Steve Ballmer have done nothing to Chris Paul at all. I understand he was frustrated about losing, right? They lost a 3-1 lead, and they lost to Portland twice and got bounced out by Utah. I get all that. But to be talking about the Clippers the way he did, that wasn't right to Ballmer or the rest of that team. But it's not like they were getting along. Blake and DeAndre Jordan wasn't getting along with this man anyway. Okay, so Chris Paul made it very clear he didn't like being with LA. He was miserable. It's the same reason why JJ Redick started talking trash. Okay, remember, Redick did the same thing once he got traded to Philadelphia. Or he left, signed to Philadelphia for free agent, because we didn't trade Redick. Redick left out of here. But Redick talked trash too, as soon as he left. And so that's one of the reasons. And then, not to forget to mention, y'all saw what happened in the Rockets Clippers, the first meeting that they met up. I think Chris Paul got into it with Blake Griffin and Austin Rivers on the court. So then after the game, Chris Paul took him, Clint Capella, and like 3 other players to the Clippers locker room, and he tried to get a locker room rumble backstage. Like back after when all the cameras off, he tried to go into the Clippers locker room. But Lou Williams, DeAndre Jordan, and the rest of all those other guys were in there, and they tried to fight. So you seen what happened. So Chris Paul basically showed himself that he wasn't appreciative of the Clippers organization at all. He hated us. So for that, Chris Paul can stay gone. And then you look at Chris Paul's contract. Like Westbrook is a very high contract, $130 million for a 35-year-old. And let's be honest, that's just too much money for him. I understand that he's a superstar. Okay, he's not necessarily a top 5 point guard, but he still could get the job done. He's still within the top 10. But $130 million, ain't too many people are going to be taking that contract for a basketball player who's an injury risk. Chris Paul really can't be proven to stay healthy a full 82-game season, let alone 72, which we're about to go into starting next month on the 22nd. Yes, he did good during the bubble, but that's only because everybody had a 4-month rest. Everybody had 4 months off, well over 30 days to rest up and recuperate. But let's see how Chris Paul's body does this up-and-coming season. Now you got to play a full 72-game season. That's another thing. Chris Paul's injuries has cost this Clippers team a chance to advance out the second round. Because every time Chris Paul would get injured, the team would just fold completely. And we saw what happened with Houston, which, Matt, by the way, now I said this 3 years ago, right, in 2018 when the man went to the Rockets. Everything I said was going to happen in Houston happened. Chris Paul wound up getting injured, and it cost the Rockets a chance to close out against Golden State and advance to the finals, where they were up 3-2. Chris Paul's hamstring gave out on him. And after that happened, the Rockets had no answer for Steph Curry and him. Right, with Durant over there. I told y'all that. And then look what happened just this season. I knew once D'Antoni convinced Daryl Morey to basically trade away Clint Capella, your best defender. You didn't re-sign Trevor Ariza. You also didn't re-sign Kenneth Faried. You let him walk. But then you're going to trade Nene and Ryan Anderson, your two other rebounders. They signed old man Tyson Chandler, who has no business even in the NBA no more. He should be retired by now. And then you tried to go with a small lineup, traded for Robert Covington, and then you put 6'5" PJ Tucker at the center in the 4 position. I knew they were going to lose. That's a recipe for disaster. I mean, yeah, it works from a fast-paced standpoint, right? You could try to outscore your opponents, but that can only get you so far. When you roll up on a team like the Lakers that got JaVale McGee, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard, that could just, and plus LeBron James, that could body you inside the paint and bully you, out-rebound you, and just dunk over you, you're headed for disaster. I told y'all D'Antoni was going to be going anyway. Daryl Morey got fired. Like, the owner basically cleaned house. The Rockets have basically started completely over from square one. Like, they basically in a rebuild mode. They're going through what OKC did last year when they traded for Russell Westbrook out of there. Thunder are currently in rebuild too. And Chris Paul don't want to be there for the rebuild. Like, him and Westbrook are trying to win a championship. So I understand that, but even Harden, run around the league is that Harden don't want to stay in the Rockets neither necessarily. Harden is thinking about being traded somewhere else because he don't want to stay for no rebuild. Neither one of them. But no, man, everything I told you about the Rockets happened. But getting back to Chris Paul, no, CP3 has become a journeyman at this point, at this stage in the game. He's basically where Jason Kidd and Jason Terry was the end of their careers. Even though Terry and Kidd were still able to get a ring because they were blessed to be a part of that Dallas Maverick team when Dirk Nowitzki in 2011. It was them. I think you had Chandler, you had Marion, so they was able to get a ring with those other veterans. But Chris Paul not in the same boat. And Chris Paul's best bet, honestly, right now, is to be traded to the Lakers and join LeBron James and Anthony Davis and try to get his championship from there, like Dwight Howard did. That's his best option. Unless he's gonna, unless the team can try to trade him over to Milwaukee, which I can see Milwaukee, because Milwaukee will actually have assets. They can exchange Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe easily, and also give the Thunder a first-round draft pick, which they wouldn't mind because they're gonna re-sign Giannis anyway. Or Chris Paul could go to the Miami Heat because Dragic is a free agent. I don't think Pat Riley's going to re-sign Dragic if he know he can get Chris Paul. So those are, to me, that's CP3's best 3 options. But no, I don't know why people want Chris Paul to come back here. No, why would you want this man back after everything we went through in the last 7 years with him there? No, I don't want to see that no more. Not to forget to mention Chris Paul is not that good of a leader. Okay, let's just be honest. He's not that good of a leader. But again, the man bodies breaks down. He's not the same player no more. Okay, let's just be honest. He's not that same guy. This is why the Thunder couldn't beat the Rockets. They had a chance, but Chris Paul he don't have the energy no more. Like Chris Paul was like 23, 24, how he was with the Hornets. And he would have been playing this OKC series against the Rockets. The OKC definitely would have won. Because Chris Paul would have been going full speed to the rim and would have forced you to foul him. And then back then, Chris Paul was more clutch at the shot too. The man had a faster 3-point release. Not like he is now. Like now, Chris Paul has to take his time and slow it down. Chris Paul has to take up at least 20 seconds off the clock. But when he was in his Hornets days, Chris Paul was just to this. He was at a snap of the finger. He was gone. But that's just about it. Like, I don't know. Don't have Chris Paul back on this Clipper team. I don't want to see that no more. No, he needs to stay gone. Don't come back here no more. It wouldn't be wise. And plus too, now they want to talk about Chris Paul got the nerve to talk about chemistry. Okay, this is why you can't trust these analysts. I don't trust Nick Wright at all. I definitely don't trust Chris Broussard because Chris Broussard was just, I believe, what was it on Undisputed? He was talking about he likes the fact that Russell Westbrook and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard could play with each other. It gives the Clippers big three. But as soon as he get on First Take, or as soon as he get on, he gets around these other he gets amongst Nick Wright now. Right soon, yeah. When he was getting Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, he was all for Westbrook joining Clippers. But as soon as he get around Nick Wright, it's a different story. Now he changed his mind. Now it's a bad idea. I don't want to hear that. I don't. That was stupid. No, it's stupid for Chris Paul to come back there because for starters, Chris Paul will automatically assume it's his team. Chris Paul will figure out I got seniority. I was here long before Kawhi Leonard and Paul George got here. Despite Doc Rivers is no longer around no more, Chris Paul gonna be wanting people to listen to him. And Kawhi Leonard has already made it known that it's his team already. Everybody in that franchise knows it's Kawhi Leonard's team. And Kawhi Leonard is not going to take smack from nobody. We seen what happened with the Spurs. One of the reasons why Kawhi Leonard is no longer with the Spurs and wanted to be traded from the Spurs because he didn't like that Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker was in his shit talking, telling him what he should and shouldn't do. Getting on this case about playing. And Kawhi Leonard was like, no, I'm going to play when I want to. I carried this team the season before. So that'll be another issue right there. Kawhi Leonard ain't going to take no veteran telling him what to do when he's the captain and leader of that team. So no, it wouldn't be wise for Chris Paul to be there. Yeah, it gives us a point guard, but even then, Kawhi Leonard might not even been trying to recruit Paul George. That's a rumor. As far as I was concerned, that's a rumor. I don't think Barbara would want Chris Paul back over there after what happened. Nah. Leave Chris B be. They didn't leave Chris Paul alone. Let Thunder deal him out somewhere else. Now, as far as Postal Records is concerned, this is the only upside to Westbrook being traded to the Clippers. For starters, Paul George might have had something to do with it. Paul George might have told Mike Winger and Lawrence Frank that me and Paul George work well together. I played with him for 2 years. I trust him. He knows how to pass me the ball. I like his leadership. I like the way he inbounds the ball. I like the way he runs point guard. So that could be one of the reasons Paul George figured he needs Russell Westbrook there. Because he has better chemistry with him. He knows him perfectly. And remember, Russell Westbrook is from California too. He's from LA. Just like Kawhi Leonard is. So that's three brothers from Los Angeles who are hungry. Russell Westbrook, from what I've heard and from what my resources have told me, he's hungry to win a championship. Russell Westbrook is tired of losing. This is Russell Westbrook who's seen his ex-buddy Kevin Durant win 2 championships in a row without him leaving the Golden State, right? Steph Curry has also won a championship and 2-time league MVP. He saw Kyrie Irving win a championship. LeBron James just win his 4th ring. Anthony Davis just got a ring, along with Dwight Howard and Danny Green. By the way, Danny Green now has 2 rings. Kawhi Leonard, who he could be traded with to join, Kawhi Leonard just won a ring just last year. So, and he just saw Jimmy Butler get to the finals. So Russell Westbrook wants a championship ring. That man is in the mode where Durant is. He wants to win a ring. Russell Westbrook is tired of losing. He does not want to stay around for a rebuilding at all. He don't want to go through what he went through OKC. So I can understand why Westbrook wants to be traded. You see that D'Antoni got fired. The GM got fired. He ain't finna stick around. Even though the Rockets want him and Harden to stay, Russell Westbrook don't want to stay no more. He wants to go somewhere he can win a championship. And the Knicks are not necessarily the best move neither. That man don't want to go to no New York Knicks. If there was a trade, Russell Westbrook New York Knicks, Russell Westbrook's not going to sign the contract. That would be a waste of the Knicks' time. It's best the Knicks stay away from Russell Westbrook. He ain't gonna sign no contract. He's gonna force them to try to trade him over to the Clippers anyway, or trade him to another contender. So that's the good thing about Russell Westbrook, is that the Clippers be getting somebody who knows how to run the point guard position. He is a triple-double machine. Russell Westbrook can give you 25 guaranteed. And he can give you just as many assists as LeBron. He can give at least 11 to 13 assists with no problem. And yes, when Paul George last played Russell Westbrook, Paul George was putting up better numbers than he was this bubble season. Yes, we all know about Russell Westbrook's flaws. Yes, Russell Westbrook can be a hard head. We all know this. Especially when he's angry. But again, Russell Westbrook, when he focuses and wants to win, he can't get your team out the second round. He's done this twice already. And he tasted the NBA Finals. So Russell Westbrook at least say he's been there before. And if you think about it, with Russell Westbrook's fast pace, it could work out for the Clippers' favor because he can get shooters wide open. He can set Paul George and Kawhi Leonard up to get the shots they need. And then because he won't have no issues against Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray will have his hands full against Westbrook. So that's another thing they might want to consider. Even Luka Doncic, Russell Westbrook will play defense. And Russell Westbrook is already a far better point guard. I'm going to say it again. I mean this with all due respect. Nothing against Pat Beverly and Lou Williams. Nothing against Reggie Jackson. Landry Shaman, okay, but Russell Westbrook is a far better point guard. Way better veteran point guard than Pat Beverly. I mean, I love Pat Beverly's defense, but Pat Beverly's better on the bench. He is not a starting point guard. I gave Beverly a chance. That's just not going to work. With Russell Westbrook, we're guaranteed to get points. Let's say if we have a team like the Mavericks or Nuggets down by 20 points, Russell Westbrook will make sure we keep the lead going. The reason why it didn't work with him and Carmelo Anthony, because Carmelo Anthony is a terrible defensively. And again, that's Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan can't handle the pressure of that coaching position. That was the issue with Donovan. Remember, Donovan choked away a 3-0 lead when he had Westbrook and Durant against the Warriors. That was the problem with Donovan. And since they choked away a 3-0 lead, Donovan ain't been the same since. Donovan just completely went down after that. And Sam Pressman made efforts to try to give Donovan the help he needed to coach that team. It just hasn't worked out. But with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, it gives Russell Westbrook the two superstar he needs to form a proper big three. And you'll still have Zubac, unless they're going to exchange Zubac too. You at least have a rebounder like Steven Adams. So me personally, I would rather them trade for Westbrook, even though again, it's a lot of money. And it wouldn't be wide salary cap. And you're going to be giving up too much assets. And we're going to be cutting into our depth. But the Clippers got to do what they have to do to a championship. Plus, you got Chauncey Billups and Ty Lue. These are two players that both won championships as NBA players. And they have years of experience. Ty Lue has proven that he can at least coach a team to a championship 4 years in a row. Yeah, you had LeBron, but LeBron needed him. They fired David Blatt and chose him at the end of the day. And I like Chauncey Billups. And then plus you got Kenny Atkinson from Brooklyn. That's also an assistant coach. With one of the Miami Heat's assistants that's also took the job. So Russell Westbrook has a lot of coaching. He has plenty of coaching needs. This is a completely different Clippers team. And plus Ty Lue may be trying to do something differently. So it could work out to the Clippers' favor. To have Westbrook, Paul George back together, but with Kawhi Leonard, it could give them a significant big three. It'll be something like what LeBron had in Miami with Bosh and Wade. So that could actually be a blessing in disguise. See, as the Clippers are right now, we can't focus on the negative right now. We only could look for the positive. But me personally, I wouldn't be trying to trade for neither one. Me personally, if I was Jerry West, I would advise Lawrence Frank and Mike Wenger to focus on Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet need to be their first priority above anything else. Number one option right now need to be Fred VanVleet. Because if they can get Fred VanVleet back with Kawhi Leonard, that could be like the Toronto Raptors lineup. Fred VanVleet is very capable of being a starter. I told y'all that before last year. Fred VanVleet can easily average. He's been averaging 30 points. The man been putting up significant numbers. He's proven himself that he can be that superstar. You need to get Fred VanVleet, and you also need to think about signing Rajon Rondo as well. Right? If you could get Rajon Rondo and Fred VanVleet on a team, then you really wouldn't need Westbrook or trying to trade for no Chris. Well, let's leave Chris Paul out of it. You wouldn't need to trade for no Russell Westbrook necessarily. Because you still got Landry Shamet there. Beverly is still going to stay because that's their favorite. And you still got Terrence Mann, who they can basically They can call him up. I bet he's ready to. He's proven that he can play on the main roster. And you also will have, I believe, Reggie Jackson. They can easily resign because he's not that expensive. But if you get Fred VanVleet, oh yeah, you got your starting point guard right then and there. And then you just have to get a shooting guard, which they can easily trade for a Brandon Ingram or possibly a Drew Holiday. And then I will also try to sign Christian Wood. That young man has potential right there. He got nice size. He could be something like an Aaron Gordon. He gives you energy. He's a good rebounder. He also has a nice mid-range. I'll get one of them on the team. Easy. Easy money. So that's what the Clippers need to focus on, getting a Fred VanVleet. And let's say if the Lakers don't want Danny Green no more, I'll pick him up. But most likely Danny Green is gonna stay on the team. But let's say if Rajon Rondo, since Rajon Rondo gonna be free agent, I'll sign Fred VanVleet and get Rajon Rondo because Rondo will give us intel against the Lakers. Since he's fresh off a championship with the Lakers, he already know how to guard. He already know what the Lakers will run with Frank Vogel. Rondo will give us the intel we need once the Clippers do run into the Lakers. So that's what I would do. And then I would, of course, try to shop around for Rudy Gobert. Like, let's say if the Jazz don't want Rudy no more, I would exchange Zubac for Rudy Gobert. So a team of Rudy Gobert with a Fred VanVleet and a Rajon Rondo, and let's say we trade for either Brandon Ingram or Drew Holiday on top of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, that's a very formidable team. And you can always re-sign Marcus Morris. You can convince Marcus Morris to re-sign and stay. And that might work out for Montrezl. Even though Montrezl is also due for a significant contract. And that's another thing you could probably do too. Because, again, word around the league is that Montrezl don't get along with Paul George. There's tension in that locker room. And we're already seeing the Instagram, Lou Williams basically unfollowed Montrezl. So they not getting along at all. So you could easily shop Montrezl Harrell around and trade for Rudy Gobert. I'll exchange Montrezl for Brandon Ingram, to be honest. I would trade Montrezl for Brandon Ingram and also try to work out a deal to get Drew Holiday. And then pick up Fred VanVleet and possibly Rajon Rondo. That's what I would do. And you don't even need to worry about them two. Because the problem with Russell Westbrook is his contract is too high. Like Chris Paul. It's too high contracts anyway. The Clippers got to try to balance out that salary cap. You got to try to sign some free agents. But anyways, that's just my take on it. I think that would be the smarter thing to do instead of trying to trade for these two. Pick up Fred VanVleet in free agency. Pair VanVleet back up with his ex-buddy Kawhi Leonard. Who Kawhi Leonard works well together anyway, because Fred VanVleet would know how to put the ball in Kawhi Leonard's hands. And then you pick up Rajon Rondo if he's available and he's willing to sign with the Clippers. And then you shop around Montrezl and trade him for Ingram. And also try to possibly get a Drew Holiday. And then you try to work out a deal to get either pick up Christian Wood. If you can't get Christian Wood, you try to go after Rudy Gobert. And then the Clippers will be set to try to make a run for the championship. And this time, hopefully, they don't choke no more. But if I had to pick between either one of those two, I'm definitely taking Westbrook any day. I'm sorry, but Westbrook is the far better point guard. Again, Russell Westbrook has broke Oscar Robinson's record that has not been broken in over 50-something years until he did it. I think it was 50 or 40, but it ain't been broken since the 70s. And he was able to do it. Says a lot in this man's career. And plus, Russell Westbrook could actually stay much healthier than Chris Paul. Russell Westbrook only really had one serious injury, and that was in 2013. When he got injured against the Memphis Grizzlies in that playoff series. Now, of course, that opened the door for Durant to become MVP the following season, but that was the only time he missed a lot of time. Excuse me. Now, Chris Paul has had too many injuries. This is why Chris Paul don't get MVP, because he's missed too much time. But if I had to choose between those two, I would definitely put Westbrook and pair him up back with Paul George, since Paul George has already played with him for 2 years. And that might work out better for Kawhi Leonard, because Russell Westbrook could at least take the pressure off Kawhi Leonard offensively. Because of Russell Westbrook, too many defenses will have to focus on him. Right? They have to either double team Russell because he'll be coming in too fast. Meanwhile, that can open the door for Kawhi Leonard to get open and get the shots he needs. And knowing what Ty Lue and Chauncey Billups will probably work out, that'll probably work out very well. Like Chauncey Billups will probably come up with a strategy, a playbook that'll work around that. So that's why I can see, that's probably the one of the reason why Lawrence Frank and Jerry Weston are looking at Russell Westbrook. Because they see what potentially can happen. But Chris Paul, hell to the no. To try to trade for Chris Paul, that wouldn't go well for Steve Ballmer. I'm sorry, man. That would be disrespectful to Steve Ballmer. You don't bring that into the locker room. No. Chris Paul has made it very clear he don't like the Clippers. More so than Doc Rivers. No, leave him alone. Let him finish his career somewhere else. Maybe, folks, that's a video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all tell me what you think in the comment section. Who's your favorite team and who you want to see traded to your team. Like, subscribe, and comment if you feel like. Y'all stay tuned. And as always, I'll see you soon.